All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel. Today, I have a very special guest for our Journey of a Starseed series, episode 3. I can't believe we've done 3. This is our third. We just started this series recently, and I'm really excited to bring on starseeds from all over the world to give us their perspective on their own journey, where they see us going in the world, what their challenges have been, and kind of their advice for everybody. So this is a really unique opportunity. And today I have Shelly Lifshin, and she will have to remind me where she is right now because I think I just forgot, but she is a world traveler. So she travels all over the world. She's 17, and she's going to tell us about her story, or maybe 18. Is that right?
19.
19. I'm sorry, 19.
Okay.
So, well, let me just say welcome, Shelly, and then let's just dive right into it. So tell me a little bit about your background and, where you've lived, and then we'll get into homeschooling, we'll get into your work with children, but I want to kind of get a background for everybody first.
Yes, of course. So, again, I want to thank you for that beautiful introduction. So my name is Shelly. I'm 19 years old, and I have always known, like since I was very little, that there was something wrong with the system that I was placed into. And I always felt that I didn't belong in these systems, the school systems and all of these different things. And I went to school until the age of 11. But before that, I just felt really like left out. I never really had a lot of friends in school. Me and my family were traveling a lot around the US. So I was born in Toronto, Canada. And when I was about like 1.5, we moved to not California, Georgia. And we lived in Atlanta, Georgia. My brother was born there. I lived there for 8 years. I went to school, did all those things. And then we moved to a different state. We moved to Illinois. So it was huge for me because, I had to leave all of my friends in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was very, very difficult for me. And, new school, everything was new. And I kept traveling like that every year, every couple of years to different schools, different states and stuff, until finally my mom decided to quit her job. She was working a 9-to-5 job. She was living the matrix life, working hard, always trying to provide for me and my family. And it was very, very difficult for her. And she finally came to a conclusion herself and decided to quit everything. And we started our life again in that moment. And I was about 11 years old. And then where did we go? I think we were traveling out of the country, and that's when I officially stopped with schooling. I did homeschooling. Me and my brother did homeschooling for a little bit. And then I stopped that when I was about maybe like 13, 14. And that's when I started self-educating myself. So instead of following some kind of curriculum, even if it was homeschooling, I was doing an online schooling thing. I didn't really feel like I enjoyed any of it. I still felt like I was following rules. I still felt like I was following some type of system that I didn't really resonate with, that I didn't really feel was right for me, was benefiting me in any way. So that's when I started learning on my own. And I'm so grateful for my mom for allowing me and my brother to learn whatever we want. And that completely shifted my mindset, my life. I became less distracted. Therefore, I had more time to go within and learn about spiritual topics and learn about all these different things. And fast forward to today, I'm in Portugal. I just arrived to Portugal with my family. I was in Montenegro before, so, all over the place. And I just feel really, really grateful for everything that the universe has given me. And it wasn't an easy journey. I went through so many battles and so many obstacles, and I kept going. I found a way to remember who I am and come back to myself, and that has always been my guiding light throughout this human journey. So I'm really, really grateful for my experience, and I want to help out as many kids and as many young adults, as many teens as possible. I feel like they need help, and I'm here to guide them.
Yes, and what a beautiful introduction, Shelly. So in your early years, why did you guys move around so much? Was it because of your parents' work, or was your mom just seeking new experiences, new places, and so she just chose randomly, or was there kind of an order to it?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it was mainly because of my mom's job. But then when she quit her job, that's when we just started traveling around the world. We didn't travel to many countries, you know. It's not like we just pick a country and go there for no reason. Of course, there's a reason. But yeah, mainly for my mom's job.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
where have you found to be like your favorite place so far, or do you have one that you've lived?
I would say Montenegro. That was
Yeah.
the country that I was in for like more than 2 years right before this. And I just wanted to share a little bit about that country because it has
Yeah.
completely, that place is incredible. It's so beautiful. Most people don't even know about this place. So it's like really secret. But that's where my spiritual awakening really, really took a, um, not a turn, but that's when my spiritual awakening was like really, really coming into full effect.
Mhm.
So before that moment when we moved, COVID was happening, things were really crazy. When we left the US, April 2020, when things were really, really bad, that's when I feel like my real awakening started. Because before that, I was numb, you know, I was distracted, even though I was, you know, homeschooled and all that stuff. I was distracted and um, I was just not in a really good place emotionally and mentally. And when we made that move to Montenegro unexpectedly, because it was so unexpected and it happened so fast, and it was really, really scary in the beginning and uncomfortable, I feel like that's what really catalyzed my awakening even further. So yeah, I didn't have any distractions in Montenegro. No, I wasn't really in contact with any of my friends anymore because I just didn't really feel like I needed to stay in touch with them. I was in nature all the time. I spent a lot of time with my family. And yeah, it was like a whole new culture, a whole new place. So I feel like that's what really opened my mind up. And yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just the change that we crave, and it's the energy of a new place that is the catalyst to our awakening. So it sounds to me like that was a planned point blueprint in your life plan, your grand life plan. At that point in your life, you were going to use the opportunity of the pandemic to go someplace and then find yourself. And then look, that spearheaded you to what you're doing now. Do you feel like that was a big catalyst in who you've become today?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, pre that, growing up, do you ever remember having any experiences with seeing any interdimensionally, seeing any good spirits and or bad spirits or anything like that?
Yes. So I'll start with the bad spirits. Um, I have a person in my family, my close family, that is a narcissist and is possessed by dark spirits. It like comes and goes, and it's happened since I was young, like really, really young. And I remember when I was like 2, 3, I had night terrors every single night. And I never watched horror movies. I was never exposed to stuff like this. My parents never allowed, you know, me to watch stuff like that. And for some reason, I had night terrors. And I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would cry. I don't know if it was because of that person in my family that maybe affected my energy a little bit, or maybe it was something else, but it was really, really bothering me. And I never told my parents ever. I felt scared to tell them. And I remember I even had these night terrors at like 5 years old, and it would come and go and it would become less and less. But yeah, I've always felt like I was battling some dark energies. And when I entered this body, I didn't really adjust my soul into this body. So it was a very hard process for me to get in. I did a session with someone, so I know this information. When my mom was giving birth to me, it was like a very, very, not traumatic experience, but it was like very chaotic. It was very hard for me to get into the body. I felt really uncomfortable in my body. It felt really dark. It felt really scary. And I feel like that's another reason I had these night terrors. So yeah. And my shadow at some point in my life, like, it was really, really loud, like really loud when I was like 14, 15.
Yeah.
I was very irritable. I would get mad at everybody. Like, yes, I was still a child and I was still pure, but I was battling this. I felt like I was battling demons inside of me. And I had so much anger and rage, and I still do, but I'm trying to work that out. And I do feel like this anger and this rage that's within me there's nothing wrong with it. That's what I want everybody to understand. All of you kids out there, teens, if you're ever feeling like really, really angry and you just want to like punch someone, or like you just feel so icky inside, there's nothing wrong with those emotions. That's simply energy that wants to be used in a positive way. Right. And so we think it's negative, but there's absolutely nothing negative about it. Society is going to tell you to, shove all your emotions inside of you. Don't speak up. Don't talk about your emotions. Don't talk about how you feel. But as a matter of fact, if you allow these emotions to move through you in a safe way without harming anybody, you can use this energy to create, to manifest, to start something. So that's what I'm learning right now. And now segueing into the positive stuff, the positive experiences and positive spirits that I've met. In Montenegro, November 23rd of 2022, I did a session with Lori Ladd. I don't know if you've heard of her before.
Yeah.
And I did a session with her, and she activated something within me in that moment where all of a sudden I became aware of the fact that I even have guides and have spirits around me. And that was a mind-blowing moment for me. And ever since I did that session with her, I started to literally physically feel angels, guardian angels, my guides around me. And I still feel them to this day after that moment. The reason is because when you become aware of the fact that you have this family of light around you, they come closer and they really, really are there. They're always there to support you. But when you become aware of them, it's like, they're like really, really next to you. And let me think. I don't really see my guides. I actually feel them much more than seeing them. Like if I close my eyes, I always feel this presence on my right side, almost like a grandmother that's comforting me, like she's holding my hand and she's putting one hand on my shoulder. And on the left side, I feel this masculine, like not even grandfather, but like father energy. So I feel like there's this like perfect balance of feminine and masculine. So yeah, everybody has their unique guides and stuff like that. But I think it's really beautiful when you start to become aware of them and you start to realize that you are never, ever alone on this journey, that you're always surrounded by this beautiful, loving energy. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of that, Shelly. And I like what you're saying about the anger, because the children that I work with, that's the number one complaint is, how do I navigate through this anger? And what I try to help guide them is that these are emotions, these are energies that you can utilize for positive. So even though it feels negative in the moment, how can you channel that energy in a positive way? I'm calling it how to fuel the fire within you. How can I utilize all this charge, this, even though it feels like a negative charge, how can I turn it into a positive? How can I, and what we usually try to do is create with it. That's how some of the most beautiful art or the most wonderful love songs or music is created, because people go through traumas and they're sad or angry or whatever, but that's an energy and they charge that up and then they use it for creativity. So I love that you at a young age realize that it's not to be shamed, because there's nothing shameful about being angry. It's an emotion that we have to work through and navigate through that. And I think that, unfortunately, it sounds like you were targeted just like many children all over the world because of your light. So the dark ones will come in and try to perpetuate your anger. And that's where things get tricky. They see you in the vibration of anger. So they're like, let me mess with this girl. Let me attack her in her dreams. Let me do this, continue these experiences around her, or bring these negative energies to make her more angry, or him. And that's where things get a little bit tricky. But if you remain in your light and your power, then you can navigate through anything. And you learn that in such a young age. And that's so incredible. So I'm glad that I believe your journey is to learn all these things at a young age and activate the wisdom that's already within you. And Lori, it seems like she helped you with that. And that's such a beautiful thing. So now you can then help others with through your own experiences. And not everybody can see their guides. It's more common actually for them to just sense or have a knowing that they're around, or you can feel them. So you feeling the positive feminine side and this masculine energy and this beautiful balance, that's your soul family that's hugging you, essentially being with you in your presence to guide you always. And that's even more beautiful. And one thing I want to talk about, Shelly, I heard you use the term world schooled. And I love this term. Like, we should copyright it or like put it out there, like everywhere on a t-shirt, because that's what that is such a great word to describe what I'm trying to do with children right now in the school that I'm creating. It's just about life experience. So tell me a little bit about how school shifted you or kept you confined, actually is more probably a better word. And then once you broke free of that, tell me a little bit about that process and how you have schooled yourself through your world travels and your life experience.
So when I was in school, I just want to talk a little bit about that. It was a while ago, so let me just go back to those moments. Yeah, I was never popular. Actually, no, never popular. I was really social, so I'm a really social person. I remember I tried to make a lot of friends in school. I tried to be social, but it almost felt like nobody really connected to my energy and they just walked away. And I was really desperate to find friends. I remember I had one best friend in Chicago. She was my best friend. And I feel like that's the only person in school I've ever had that has really seen me for who I am, for who I was. But I'd never really felt like I belonged in school. I did believe what I was being taught because I still didn't know that most of the stuff that I was being taught in school wasn't really true. So I was still believing everything. When I was I went to 8th grade for a couple months and I knew everything at that moment. And it was I was only there for a couple months for a reason. That was the last grade I ever did. I was pretty furious. I was sitting in class and I couldn't handle it. So at some point I told my mom, can you please get me out of this place? I just don't want to learn here anymore. So that was the last time I was ever in a school system. And then when I started world traveling, it's not like my mom said, okay, we're going to teach you guys world traveling. I have a brother who's 17. It kind of happened naturally and organically. When you see a new country and you go to different countries and you see new cultures and you learn about the history, that's the best education that you can give to your children. Teaching your children more about where they live, this planet that we're on that's so diverse and so beautiful, that's the best education you can give your kids, to be honest with you. I have learned so much by traveling to different countries and seeing different kinds of people, and most of the stuff that I learned in math, most of the stuff that I learned in science, I don't even remember at all. But what I do remember are those experiences traveling to different countries. And what I do remember are the beautiful people that I've met along the way. So I'm not saying anything about math or science, of course, but I feel like I've learned the most by traveling the world. And I'm so, so grateful for all of it. I'm really grateful.
Yeah. And, not everybody has the opportunity to travel the world. So what are some of the things that you suggest from your perspective, your life experience, and your wisdom coming through to parents out there that are considering homeschooling, or they've recently taken their children out of school, which is a very large percentage of the population for sure. So what are some ways that they can do some diverse teachings for their children now in their own community without traveling?
So in my opinion, the first thing that all parents should do is to stop first get your kids out of school so they're not constantly being brainwashed. That's number one. Get them out of those systems. And be careful with the homeschooling curriculums that you allow your kids to learn, because a lot of them are still, part of the system, the government system. A lot of people think that just because they're homeschooling their kids, they're giving their kids the best education in the world. But the curriculums are still the same. And there's nothing wrong about those curriculums if you want your kids to learn that. But I would highly recommend to start giving your kids the opportunity to choose what they want to learn, because only they know what they truly feel good about, what they truly want to do in their life. So start encouraging them to make their own choices, because when you're in school, everybody follows the same thing. Everybody's told to do the same thing, to learn the same thing. And kids feel like they can't express who they really are. They can't do what they really want to do. So yeah, just give your kids that safe space to choose what they want to learn. And and I would love, it would be so beautiful if parents would just show their kids videos of different countries in the world. Like if you can't travel, or if your kids can't travel yet, just show them a bunch of videos, show them documentaries about different countries that they're passionate about visiting. And then once they start to develop this inner passion of wanting to go to these places, eventually they will. Eventually the universe will create something for them so that they can actually go and travel to those places. So when you're exposed to what you want, let's say you want to go to Thailand, right? When you're watching videos about Thailand and you're immersing yourself in the culture before you're actually going there, the universe is watching you, right? The universe is seeing that you really want to go there. And when you have no doubt in your mind and you feel it within you, yes, I am going to go there one day, the universe is going to start synchronizing everything in your reality to make that happen, to make that a reality. So, yeah. And, there's, yeah.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, one more thing. I was going to say, there are a lot of people that aren't even interested in traveling. So just let your kids pick what they want to learn and allow them to just learn that. It doesn't have to be traveling or any of that.
I love that. I love everything you just said, Shelly. You're so wise. And I believe you are a spiritual guide that came into this life to help as a pioneer and a way shower. And I think you're exactly right. And that's the foundation of what I'm creating with our centers is self-directed learning. Let the children decide what they want to learn, because they know what's coming. So for example, the money system is going to change. We won't even be using money the same way as we are now. So they don't want to waste their time learning about that in school. They don't want to waste their time learning about how to tell time on a clock, because they know on some level, what's the point of this? We're not going to use this later. So why am I wasting my time? Why do I need to read this story from like 1920 and then answer questions? It's all about memorization. And sometimes they come home with the most ridiculous, time-consuming worksheets that mean absolutely nothing. And children are speaking out about it. And they're saying, why do I have to do this? And they don't. And so it's about getting your children outside and letting them experience life for themselves and learning about other cultures. And it's such a dynamic space that an infinite space that you can place them in. And I love everything that you're saying, Shelly. You're exactly what we need right now as a pioneer and as an example for children your age, and not children, you're a young woman now, but people tend to listen to children tend to listen to other children or youth that are similar in age, because oh, Sherry, she's a mom, she's too old, like they don't want to listen to me. But then you put you with a group of young girls and they're like, oh, Shelly, and they look up to you and they aspire to be like you, and you become a mentor. So we can pivot our conversation over to, what do you think your journey here is about, and how do you help youth right now? I think you utilize social media, which can be very bad. And I recognize parents watching this are going to say social media is bad, the algorithms, the influence, negative influence, the EMFs. but there's always a good and positive side to everything. It's all about how we use it. And Shelly utilizes it for the positive. So explain why I'm talking about that.
So social media is like a tool. It's a tool that can be used for good purposes, and it's a tool that can be used for bad purposes, right? Just like almost anything else in this universe. So I have personally fallen down the social media spiral many, many times in my life. And I just had one experience recently, about maybe not that recently, maybe like 7 months ago, where my old original Instagram account got hacked and then it got removed. And thankfully I saved all of the videos. And I used to do like motivational speaking videos, and, I was sharing personal things about my life. And then everything got deleted and wiped out. And I feel like that was the universe telling me, you are on the wrong path. I literally truly felt inside that I was on the wrong path. I was trying hard to make these videos. I was trying so hard that I literally forgot about myself. I was so focused about pleasing other people and showing up for people that I forgot about me. And I didn't listen. So then that had to be wiped away. And I started a new Instagram account called Shelly Loves Fruit. And I'll talk a little bit about why I named my account that in just a second. And a whole new journey started for me in that moment. And I learned my lesson. So now I'm not really posting obsessively like I used to. I'm doing everything from a conscious state. So yeah, I do believe that social media can be a very, very, very powerful tool if you want to start a career, or if you want to inspire people, or if you want to learn something new and get inspired by others. What was the first question what
I was getting at is that you use it for good. And so your new account, I mean, that's how you reach children all over the world, is through your motivational speaking and through your Instagram posts. Is that right?
That was my old account when I was talking about the motivational speaking.
Okay. So how do you work with children now then? So what's Shelly 2.0 doing?
Yeah, so now my audience is very broad. I'm not only focused on children, I'm focused on teens, young adults, elders. Literally, I don't care about the ages. It's everybody and anybody. The reason why I named my new account Shelly Loves Fruit was because about a year ago, I decided to transition to a fruitarian lifestyle.
Okay.
And I was going through a lot of health issues. I got vaccinated till the age of 7. I got 12 mercury fillings in my mouth from the age of 3. Maybe that's also why I had all these nightmares, because there was mercury literally seeping into my brain. And my parents had no clue. And, I forgive them, I love them, and they understand now. So those mercury fillings came out with my baby teeth. But what I didn't realize was that it was in my body. And at some point last year, I felt so bad. I had autoimmune conditions. I was already like eating a vegan diet, but I still felt really bad. And I didn't know why. And back in 2011, all the way back in 2011, my mom introduced me to the raw food lifestyle, the raw food diet, and I wasn't interested in it. And I was watching her, like, she was glowing, she was losing weight, she was full of energy. And I always was like curious, like, what's up with this whole thing? And so fast forward to now, I'm doing it now. And I healed a lot of issues in my body. I feel amazing. And so, yeah, now I'm dedicating my page to a raw food lifestyle. And that's what I'm basically doing on my new Instagram. That's why it's called Shelly Loves Fruit. But I'm still targeting it towards kids, towards young adults, towards adults. So yeah, that's like my new thing.
Okay, so let's walk us through this, Shelly, because I know a lot of people, because I'm really into intuitive eating, and we're trying to incorporate more nutrition classes into our centers so that children are exposed to different diets. And we were not going to use the word diet, different what's the word we should use, different ways of eating, intuitive eating. But they always ask, like, how can you give me a typical day of what you eat? Like, explain what the raw diet looks like to you, and like take us through a day of your meals, because I'm curious too.
Of course. So the raw diet that I'm doing is not your typical raw diet where you're eating lots of nuts, lots of seeds, lots of avocados. not enough fruit. That's a pretty good diet to start with, but I actually dived right into the fruitarian diet, which is about 80% fruit. You know, I get my carbs from fruits, and then 10% veggies and 10% fat. So yeah, whatever. But I'm not really strict like all the other people, because I believe that this diet is not about being strict with yourself, because then you're missing the point. It's about eating foods that are light so that you feel good all day, you're vibing high all day, and there's nothing pulling you down. So that's literally the main reason why I'm doing this. It's what makes me feel my best. It's what makes me feel the most centered, the most grounded in my body. But yeah, so for breakfast this morning, I had some orange juice. This country, guys, Portugal, is absolutely stunning. There are so many orange trees growing all over the place, lemon trees. So I picked a lot of oranges a couple of days ago, and I made myself a juice this morning, an orange juice. So I had a big glass of that. And then I had a big bowl of apples, lots of local seasonal apples, different kinds. And then about maybe 2 hours later, I made something absolutely amazing. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, I think my link tree is below this video. I posted a post a couple days ago. No, not a couple days ago, maybe like a week and a half ago. I made this new recipe called cotton candy pudding. So it's a pudding made out of fruits that literally tastes exactly like cotton candy. And I had that after my apples. And what else did I have? I had a couple of dates, and that's it.
Okay. And so like for dinner time, would you just have like a big bowl of fruit, or maybe like an avocado with it or something like that?
For dinner, I usually like savory things. Sometimes I do only fruit all day long. Sometimes I do fruit until maybe 5 p.m. and then I have my dinner. So I have my kale chips dehydrating in the dehydrator right now. I'm not really sure what I'm going to have for dinner today. Usually it's a big salad with an avocado, with some olives, with a thick dressing. Sometimes I like to make fancy raw dishes, you know, like raw soups, raw dehydrated things. But yeah, I just keep things very, very simple. And to be honest with you guys, I just want to keep things clear. This lifestyle looks really, really easy from the side. You know, if you go online or if you go on Instagram and you search raw vegan, you're going to see all these people looking good, looking amazing, eating fruits all day, full of energy. But in the beginning, because I transitioned too fast, my body was going through a huge detox. So, you know, we've poisoned our bodies all our lives. It's not just going to be in 1 week where you're going to feel amazing and look amazing. In the beginning, I was breaking out. I was getting bloated because my body was getting used to this new lifestyle. My microbiome was changing. A lot of things were happening in my body. I had fatigue. You know, it was wild. And that lasted for about a couple months. And then my body slowly started getting used to it. And yeah, but in the beginning, like if you transition way too fast, be careful, because, you know, your body's getting rid of a lot of toxins. And you need to know what to do in those moments. If you decide to ever eat this way, you know, get proper guidance. Don't just do something because you really want to do it, but you don't have enough knowledge. So get enough guidance, get enough support. I highly encourage you guys to check out my Instagram page. I talk about all these things. So yeah.
Yeah, and we'll definitely put your links. All of your links will be below, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video as well. And you can tell everyone where they can find you, but then I'll also put those links so they can find you easy. But I really appreciate your honesty, Shelly. And I've talked about this in the past as well when I've done talks about intuitive eating. It's really important for people to recognize that not everyone can be vegan, not everyone can be vegetarian, not everyone can eat meat. Our bodies are different, and it has a lot to do with our genetics, our demographics, and there's a lot of variables involved. So if you're going to change your diet and try to become vegan, and after a couple of weeks, you're like, oh, I'm bloated, or I have diarrhea, or I'm getting headaches, and they quit and they say, oh, I can't do it. My body can't take it. And what they don't realize is what you just said. You need to give your body some time and do it slowly, not abruptly. Like a lot of people who say, I'm going to be a vegetarian, they stop eating meat immediately. And then and it's like, whoa, the body's like, hold on a second, where's my meat? And, you know, and so like you have all these side effects, and people get frustrated and they get upset about it. And so whether you're fasting, you're doing a vegan diet, a raw diet, or this diet or that diet, really it's all about finding what works for you. And everyone is different, and no one should be shamed if they can't do the raw or this or that. It's all about moderation, and it's all about what works for you. And I appreciate that honesty, Shelly, because people need to be aware of that. It's not easy. And sometimes you have to go through that kind of like icky, uncomfortable period of detox before you find that other version of yourself and you see your body is actually much happier. So I think you're a great resource, and I'll definitely put that link below so people can watch your journey, because your journey will inspire others and also help them through the challenges. So let's talk about, so you work with adults. So tell me how you work with, you mentioned children, young adults, and adults. Is it with nutrition, or are there other aspects of it? Do you do energy healing, intuitive readings? Like, what else do you do?
So it's mainly nutrition, inspiration about this raw vegan lifestyle, but also spiritually. So I still post posts where, you know, I put some nice poems. I talk about spiritual things. I talk about my journey. So I'm not taking any money from anyone at the moment. I'm just, you know, sharing all of my wisdom online right now. I'm not sure if I am ready to, I mean, I am ready, but at the moment it's just, yeah, I'm just posting things. So no readings, none of that yet.
Yeah, well, good. You have to be honest about what it is that you're ready for. And it's all about, you know, your journey as well. And it's okay to take your time, because you need to be ready for every layer of your journey and what you offer to the world and how you're of service. And right now, simply your service has to do with nutrition. And that's, I think, such an important topic right now as we transition. Our bodies are changing as we go through the ascension, and people are looking for guidance on this exact thing. It's huge. So I think what you're doing, even if you never do anything else, like this is really significant, and you're going to help a lot of people. So thank you for that, Shelly. Is there anything else that you want to share with everybody that I haven't asked you yet, you know, about yourself, or advice for the world, or anything that you want to say?
Yeah, I wanted to talk to all the teens of the world. Kids, but mainly teens, you know, young adults. So there's a lot of starseeds on this planet right now. And I don't like to put labels on people or kids. You know, starseed is just a term that someone has created. But there are a lot of kids on this planet right now where their bodies are so full of light that other people don't understand them because of that. And they feel like they deserve a better life, but they're stuck in this old matrixy world and they just don't feel good in it. And that's why so many kids right now are depressed and have anxiety. And of course, it has a lot to do with nutrition and, you know, jabs that they got and environmental factors. You know, it's not just the spiritual stuff. There's so much more. Because, you know, we're living in these physical dense bodies. Yeah, they're pretty dense, and we've got to take good care of them. And when kids aren't given the right knowledge about nutrition, because in school they don't teach any of that, you know, kids are eating mac and cheese for lunch and all that stuff. When kids aren't given the right, proper knowledge about nutrition and their health, you know, they're going to feel bad at some point because their body is so high frequency. When you put low frequency foods in your body, things are just not going to feel right. You're going to feel off. So I have a message for all of you guys. If you're watching this, or parents who are watching this with your kids, yeah, when you're going to be adults, guys, everything's going to be different. And I know it feels really, really uncomfortable right now, and you're so confused, and so many things are happening in the world, and maybe you have a little bit of anxiety from it and you don't know what's going on. But you are on the right path. We are all on the right path as a humanity, as a collective. And just know that. So don't worry about what's happening in the external world. Right now, just focus on you, your health, your body, your life. So start to question things in your reality. Start to use your critical thinking skills. And if you're in school, you know, and you're forced to learn a bunch of things that you don't really like to learn, I totally understand that. I can't even imagine how that feels like, to learn something where you know that you're learning something incorrect, but you still have to learn it. I can't even imagine that. I don't really know how that feels like, but just know that you are on the right path and the truth has always been within you and the kingdom of heaven is within you. So shut off all that external noise on the outside. Shut off all of those distractions and start to meditate a little bit more. Start to come back to yourself. Start to raise your vibration, because the external world is going to try. There's nothing wrong about the external world, but it's going to try to dim your light. And don't allow anyone to ever dim your light. So yeah, create some sort of daily practice, some sort of daily ritual, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 minute, where you're just sitting with your eyes closed before you go to school, before you start your day, and just do 5 deep breaths. Think about what you really want. Think about the people you love in your life. Constantly remind yourself of who you are every single day. Remind yourself of the things that you are grateful for. That is what is going to help you, stay in those high vibrations without going too low. So when people are usually in a very low place in their life, it's because they've forgotten who they really are. They lost their connection to source, to God, to the creator, whatever you want to call it. So create some sort of daily routine where you connect with that divine essence, that divine energy within you and all around you. And I highly encourage, one last thing, to spend as much time in nature as you can. Yesterday, I hugged a tree. It was huge. And before I hugged that tree, I felt so unbalanced. I felt so ungrounded. I felt like I was losing my mind. And yeah, the past couple of days have been really, really intense for me emotionally. And when I hugged that huge tree and I put my bare feet on this tree, it was like this huge tree. And then the trunk was going like below my feet. And I was like standing on it and hugging it. I felt so loved by Mother Earth, by nature, by the tree. I realized that there is love all around me. There's literally nothing to fear because we are all loved and we are all appreciated and we are never alone. So if you ever feel disconnected from yourself, from source, from feelings of love and compassion, just spend time in nature, barefoot, and really sense this love around you, because this love is all over the place. You just have to become aware of it. So yeah.
Well said, Shelly. That was absolutely beautiful. And I would love to hear your advice maybe for the parents now. I mean, you said everything. I agree and I align and resonate with everything you just said. What are some things that you can, some advice for the parents who have strong-willed, spirited, starseed children that are having a hard time, letting them be who they are? I mean, all these children want, and the number one thing they always tell me is they just want someone to listen. They just want to be heard. Can I just speak my mind? And parents don't allow them to do that. But what are some ways that you can encourage parents? How can you encourage parents to be more open-minded, to allow them to be themselves?
Simply listen. Don't interfere with your kids' growth. Just listen. That's all they want. They want somebody to hear them. And when kids are heard, they develop this inner confidence, this inner strength. And yeah, they can just do anything in that moment. So just listen to your kids. That would be the best advice I could give parents. I'm not a parent yet. I have no idea what it's like, but I've observed my mom and I've seen how she's trying to do things. And I've noticed that when she listens to us speak more without interfering, it really, really helps. So yeah, just be an open vessel, listen to your kids.
Yeah.
And give them the resources, give them the tools, but don't shove it in their face, because school shoves information in kids' faces. That's why they don't want to listen to anybody. They're tired of being told what to do. So instead of dictating your children and telling them what to do firmly, give them the tools, but allow them to decide if they want to use it or to listen to this information or not. Even this interview, I'm sure that there's a lot of parents out there who are going to let their kids see this, and a lot of kids are probably not going to want to see this. That's okay. That's the journey that they chose, and that's okay. So just allow your kids to be who they are, listen to them with an open heart, and don't interfere with their growth. Allow them to make mistakes. That's huge. Allow your kids to make mistakes. That's how they grow. So if we take our kids' lessons from them, how are they supposed to grow? How are they supposed to become independent? How are they supposed to become strong, wise, humble? So don't take your kids' lessons away from them, because I don't know if you realize this or not, parents, but before your kids have incarnated, they chose it all.
Yeah.
They chose their parents, they chose the circumstances that they were going to be born into. So allow them to go through their own thing and encourage growth, encourage opportunity, surround your home with positivity, whether it's music or, animals. Just make your kids feel happy and don't try too hard. Just, yeah. Kids love it when their parents are positive, calm. And of course, that's not always possible, because I can only imagine how it's like being a parent. But I feel like the number one thing that I would tell everybody is to listen. Listen to your children.
Shelly, I truly believe that children in general, so not even just my own children, speaking from my perspective as a parent, they're our greatest teachers. So you are your mother's greatest teacher, or one of them. And so we need to listen to them. Otherwise, how are we going to let them teach us? How can we grow? How can we evolve? And I think it's a beautiful thing if we just synchronistically just work together in harmony and just give our children love. Because that's all. I mean, I'm a 40-something-year-old woman, and I still relate more to children than I do as an adult. Isn't that crazy? Like, I look at experiences with my kids and where they could get in trouble for something. And I think back and I'm like, oh, I remember what it was like when I got in trouble for that exact thing, and how awful I felt, and how misunderstood I was. And so I look at my children and I say, I get it. I actually get more what it's like to be in your situation right now than it is to be in my situation as a parent trying to figure out how to handle this. So that's a very interesting perspective I have, because I still feel like a child. I feel like I'm still growing. And if other parents can kind of put themselves in that mentality as well, you'd be surprised how much you realize, oh man, we could do things a better way for them. And they just want to be loved. They want to be heard. They want to be respected and not looked at as, looked down at as this 5-year-old kid. What do you know? You're 5 years old. They know a lot, actually. They just don't have sometimes the words to articulate what wisdom is coming through. So Shelly, you're fantastic. And I am going to steal you, and I want you to work with the Aramis Creative Learning Center. So we'll have to talk about this. I want you to work with us in some way. So we'll talk about this offline, because I think you can help a lot of children around the world. And I think you have a lot of knowledge, and maybe we can talk about you when you're ready to do some sort of a nutrition class or whatever it is, because you have so much that's coming through. And I can tell when you speak that you're channeling the wisdom of the higher self of Shelly, not just the conscious mind of the avatar that you are within right now. It's coming beyond that. And that's how things are authentic, is when you come from a place of balance and resonance, as opposed to ego and popularity. And that's not you. So I'm so proud of you. And I know I'm not your mom, but I'm proud of you. And I think what you're doing is incredible. So I will put all of your links below. Why don't you tell everybody real quick, also verbally, like how they can find you?
So I have my Instagram page, Shelly Loves Fruit. I'm also on Facebook. I think the link will be below. You can just search my name up, Shelly Lifshin. I have a website that's really, really outdated that I used to use when I was younger. So I have that in my link tree. link. I have a YouTube channel, Shelly Lifshin, just type that in. And I have a couple of motivational speaking videos in there and some different talks, some interviews, a lot of old vlogs that I used to do. So that's fun. Let's see what else I have. I think that's it. I have no, I used to have a Telegram channel, but that got hacked up. So that's kind of it.
Well, you know what? That's how you know you're doing good, is when the universe tries to sabotage you and take you down, you know? So we just keep trekking and we don't give up. And I can see the light around you and you're not going to give up. And so I look forward to the work that you continue to do in the future, and perhaps any collaboration that you and I do. We'll just keep it open. And I thank you so much, Shelly, for coming on today and telling your story, because I think it will help not only the parents listening to this, but the youth and children that may listen to this, and also just adults that are just going through their own spiritual journey right now. And it's just helpful to hear other people's stories. It really does. So thank you so much for coming on today, Shelly.
Thank you, Sherri. Thank you to everybody who has tuned into this. I have really appreciated this talk. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with you, Sherri.
Yes, likewise. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning into today's episode 3 with Shelly Lifshin. And we'll, until next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.